Makes everything work.
Okay, and welcome back again to The Magic Happens.
Yes, the recording does help when people can't be here live. So anyway, my name is Means Davis. I am the founder of Empowered Enterprises International. And for the last 30 or so years, I have had the honor and privilege of working with both individuals and organizations to have them clarify their vision and then put in a plan of action to be able to fulfill on that so that people are able to live out the life of their dreams now, so that it's actually living your passions, living your dreams, just loving life and producing extraordinary results. So that's who I am, and that's what I do, and that's what I bring.
Yes, and may I share a little bit? Um, Sometimes, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're in a corporate position, whatever you're doing, for me, what I did is I hit a ceiling and I became successful in my business, but I knew I could bring it further. And I wasn't aware of the limiting beliefs that were going on in me. Sometimes you need someone else to help bring that awareness of what thoughts, because we're creating our reality, like it or not. What thoughts could be stopping us from achieving all that we could be, all that we want to be. And that's where it means I feel like you have so helped me with verbiage I've used, with just the thoughts of looking at things differently. And we have a powerful topic today. Would you like to share? It's powerful. First, we empower ourselves, but then the world around us. How do we work with that?
Yeah. So that's perfect, because a couple of sessions ago, and it's actually been like a month now since we did the how do we empower ourselves? How do we catch those disempowering thoughts? How do we start relating to ourselves as bigger than the issues, bigger than the problems, bigger than the circumstances? How do we relate to ourselves in a way that empowers us to live life? Now, no mistake that life showed up over the last month and a half, to the point that where we only had The Magic Happens, one session, because we took on a really big topic called empowering ourselves. So after a month and a half, all of us have had our experiences of, wow, look where I let myself go, let the way I relate to myself go, where I become disempowered. And disempowered can be anything from I don't feel good to I can't, I'm horrible, I'm not worth it, life happens, I'm a victim, all of that nasty stuff. All of that has to show up for us to see it. Once we see it, then we can take power over it. So no mistake that we had this gap, right? Because we had to work on ourselves, right? There's time for us to look and see all the places where we have the opportunity to empower ourselves by shifting our interpretation of what we're seeing. So now we are able to, having practiced for a month and a half, wow, we're experts.
During COVID.
Yes. now we start shifting. Now we shift our perspective when we start bringing this empowered self out into the world. And what we run into is the same old, because everybody out there is going to react the same way they've always reacted, because that's the way we've trained them to react to us. So we have to retrain. So it becomes a training, but it's training not only them, but first it's training ourselves to relate to them in a way that empowers us. Because if we look for the negative circumstances, if we look for people to start showing up the same way they always have, that's the only way they can show up. It's the only way we can see them. No matter if they have something turned all the way around in their life, we're still going to relate to them in the same old way and not give them the opportunity to show up newly.
Yes,
The
may I
really
share
cool.
something in there? Means
Yes.
just if you don't mind.
Yeah, I love it.
I think about when you say that, like anyone who's trying to grow themselves through life on their journey. And when someone looks at us the same way we were 20 years ago, and we know that we've grown, that's frustrating for ourselves. So that's frustrating to the other person when we're seeing them that same way that they were before.
Absolutely. My favorite way of visualizing that is my parents always had the tendency to relate to me as I think I was in the second grade, as I was in the school play, and I got to be the banana. And so I'm walking on stage with the banana costume on, and I fell down. So I've always been the banana that fell down. Always, always, always. I'm 58 years old. I'm not a banana. Okay.
Great analogy.
Right. It just is like this perfect, like, okay, so I fell down
Yes.
on stage, da, da, right? Story over. We have that habit of boxing people in. And we have our story, and it's a story about who they are and what's important to them and where they are. Now, here's the really bizarre piece of this, okay? In the world, 7.5 billion people have taken actions now and now and now and now. That's billions and billions and billions of actions. And we think the world is the same. Right? The planet has hurtled millions of miles through space, and we think we're in the same place. But we relate to people as if that was the truth, instead of acknowledging that, wow, I'm not the same as I was yesterday. I'm certainly not the same as I was last week, last month, last year, or as that second grader that fell down on the stage. Now, yes, I can still fall on the stage. I got it, right? But I'm not that same person. I've grown, I've developed. And if you relate to me as who I was when I first graduated from college, you're way off, way off. So the easy thing for us to do is to start looking for what we want to see in people. Shift our expectations to what we want to see. What do we want to have the people in our life be like? And they start showing up that way. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's really, really weird. My mother used to tell me, I started my company back in 1990, long time ago. I think it's in the 90s, okay? And I was successful, and I have been successful, and my company is still going, okay? And for the first 15 years of my company, 15 years of my company, my mother would tell me every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, I hear that Walmart is hiring. I bet you could start and work your way up to manager. I'm sitting here with, I've got a successful business. I've got a successful coaching business. What is it that's off? And then I started listening to everything that came out of my mother's mouth as I love you. Just relating to her as everything that she said meant I love you. That's all it meant. I love you. She says, you're dumb as dirt. Okay, that means she loves me. Right? Everything was I love you. The next Thanksgiving, my mother looked at me and said, I have a student that I'm coaching, not coaching. She was a tutor that I'm tutoring. And I think that she would benefit from your coaching. First time I've ever heard my mother say the word coaching.
Huge. She didn't change. You changed.
I changed. I shifted. I shifted. And then she's free to show up how she wants to show up inside of my listening. If we relate to ourselves as big enough to create the space that everybody is showing up in around us, it's my space. So when someone says, oh my gosh, what if da 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 happens? I look at it and say, it doesn't happen in my space. There's no room for it in my space. My space is about people empowered and enabled to fulfill dreams. Inside that space, there's no room for, oh, I can't, nobody will let me, the world doesn't work that way, da 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 da. There's no room for it. We are the ones that create our world by our expectations, by our thoughts, by our interpretations of what we see. We can reinterpret anything. And the most fun thing to do, just to start proving it, is make up some really bizarre things to make up and watch how fast it happens.
Right, because it's hard to believe until you do it and see it.
Yes, until you experience it, it sounds like, okay, so that is really weird. That is way out there. That is, you are crazy. And yes, I'm crazy. I'm crazy by that definition because my definitions are not the same as others. I get to create the definitions. We get to create our definitions. So if you want to create a powerful partnership or a powerful team, create that shared commitment, that shared expectation, and live into it.
Yeah.
Instead of having it be watching constantly for them to fail or them not to do it or them to show up as the meanie or the bad guy or the this or the spoiled, like all of those labels that we put on people, we get to say what those labels are. Change the labels
Right,
so that
because
you're
we have
empowered and they're
created
empowered.
that in our minds. So
Yes.
it so comes together because first we spoke about the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, okay,
Yes.
which we start to become aware of what was disempowering in those stories. Now we're bringing it to a whole new level of the stories that we're telling ourselves about other people. Are we empowering them in our thoughts or disempowering them? And what is it? How do we want to show up in life? And how do
Yeah.
we want to relate to people? Isn't it? It just sounds so much better empowering others as opposed to disempowering them.
Yes. And one thing I want to put in is that we have it that we're creating, that we've been creating all these stories. And more accurately, what we did is buy into somebody else's story that we heard. We didn't even think about it for ourselves, right? It was not a conscious decision. It was, we heard it on the news, we heard it on a cartoon, we heard it, from our parents, we heard it from the neighbors, wherever it was, we heard it.
Yes.
Our mind took it and created it as, oh, there's a true belief. That's something I believe. That's the truth. And then we'd go around our life unconsciously creating that over and over and over and over again until we've got so much evidence that, yeah, it is the truth.
Exactly.
But we're the ones that are creating the evidence. So we will find whatever we're looking for. So if we're looking for
Say
the
that one
good,
more time.
we will find whatever we're looking for. We will see it, we will hear it, we will taste it, we will sit, everything will align to what we expect because we're the ones creating that interpretation. That's where black becomes white, right? It's like, oh my gosh, you can label it blue. Oh, now it's blue. Okay, it is now. We are, and then we go out into the world and we say, look, it's green. Look, it's green. Look, it's green. And then all 5 people are saying, yes, okay, it's green. And we're like, that really isn't green. We are the ones that are labeling it. We are the ones that are creating what we expect to see. And then we'll actually twist the truth into what we see. It's like, wow, we put that interpretation on. If we're going to twist it into something that empowers you, twist it into something that is just like, exciting, that is a real self-expression of your passion, and allow people to show up as their passions. It's not going to be the same. We're all unique. We're all unique expressions. If we allow that and see what is there from an empowering context, then the world becomes a different place.
And it sounds crazy that we could possibly be that powerful, but we are.
Yes. Yes, we are. And we do it moment by moment by moment by moment by moment by moment.
Yeah.
So shift it into life happens for us. We meet people for us rather than it being that life happens to us and we're a victim of the people that we run into. There are no mistakes. It's all synchronicity.
I love it. So if we're going to focus on one thing to work on, or not work, we're not working, we're having fun, no work involved.
Yeah, serious and hard work. Okay, that sounds like a great context for you.
It's
For
the
me.
game of life and we're having fun. So what awareness would you suggest this week that we could
Just notice the labels. Notice the labels. Be aware of the labels that we have on the people around us, like our expectations of the people around us, and see if we can shift that expectation and have them show up in a different way.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
It'd be awesome.
Totally doable. We could do this.
Hey, we can have some fun with it too. Oh my gosh, look at the way my mother showed up.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. And we hope you have an extraordinary week and
Yes.
make the magic happen.
Absolutely. Always. Thanks,
Okay.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.